thank you guys for joining. This week is going to be a little bit different from our bi-weekly sync. We wanted to kind of give you guys updates on how the custom agent configuration has evolved from the time that we maybe first started this project. A lot of new features, maybe some best practices or things that you can learn along the way when creating or managing your custom agents on DataGOL. So on the agenda, just some things that we're going to cover is what a custom agent is on DataGOL, how you create an agent with a basic configuration, adding skill files, workbooks and workspaces as MCP, which some of your agents are currently using. We now also have external MCP connectors, which I don't believe you guys are using just yet, but maybe you can use these to your advantage as well. Some memory and ontology features, maybe we can make better use of those. Model selection, agent controls, sub agents, sharing and branding. I know you guys have already worked with that, but then also another big thing is analytics and agent ops. We've improved in that area on the custom agents as well. So just to kind of get started, I think you guys, most of you are familiar with custom agents on DataGOL, but just to kind of go over what it is, it's a fully configurable agent using whatever model you would like to use. You get to define its role, its behavior, the data that it is able to consume, what tools it's able to use. It is able to access things like a SQL agent or a data science agent or these built-in agents that we have on DataGOL. But unlike those, you can configure it in more specific ways, depending on your use case. It answers questions directly from your data. It can also act on your data using MCP tools, and also generate charts, reports, PDFs, PowerPoint files. All of these things can be generated by the agent as well. The reason it's powerful is because you get to decide what information that the agent is able to consume. So you set the guardrails, you set the system prompt and what the agent has access to, whether it's read access only, or if you would like to give it write access. You control everything in this agent configuration. You also get to make it your own with your own skills, your own memory, your own business ontology, all of these things. And then the agent, once it's published, is also available to be shared internally amongst your teams or externally as well. So you can create public-facing links to these agents. So if you would like to share them to your clients or your end customer, you can share a link for them to be able to access the agent as well. And then we can monitor all of the analytics across the agent within the platform as well. So when we're on DataGOL, we can navigate on the left side to the AI agents, to the AI page. And when we click here, we'll have a few different options. The main option we'll have is Explore, where we'll see all of the agents that we already have built. We also have the Create Agent option, the Analytics page, and then the Customize. So I'll go through all of these one by one. When we click on Create Agent, here is our agent configuration. The user interface might be a little bit different than you guys have been seeing over the past couple of weeks. This was recently changed, I believe today or yesterday. So UI is a little bit different, but all of the functionality remains. We can give our agent a name. We can give it a description briefly of what it does. Here we can configure whether we want to upload a logo for the agent or if we just simply want to select the color for the agent, and then like a little symbol here that we want to choose for the agent. So we can configure these things, and then just below is where we'll define our system prompt. Just to kind of come back here. In terms of writing system prompts, the more specific you are, the better. It can act as really the orchestrator of the entire workflow for the agent. You can instruct it to call certain skill files or use certain data sources. But really what its main functionality is to orchestrate the primary role of the agent, and any persona or scope that it should respect. And then just below that, we have the knowledge base. So there are a few different options here. First, we have adding a workspace. And in adding a workspace, you can upload the documents from that workspace as well as the workbooks. Now, the thing about these workspaces here is that whatever you attach via this knowledge base is indexed. And what that means is that it will be, these documents will be searched through RAG, so they will be stored. I know not everyone on the call is technical, but For those of you who are, what this means is that these documents and these workbooks are indexed and stored in a vector database. So when asking questions on these, on any of this data, it'll come through obviously faster, but it'll use RAG to find the information rather than writing a query on an MCP workbook. So that's available for documents, which is unstructured data, as well as workbooks, which is structured, if you want to index and attach those as well. Another thing to note is that when you do attach documents or workbooks from the knowledge base, then on the agent chat screen itself, you will be able to see the knowledge base on the right side of the screen. So whether if it's a PDF, then you'll be able to see that PDF document on the right side. And if it's a structured workbook, then you'll be able to see the contents of that workbook on the right side as well. And then just below that, we have connectors. Connectors, I'll explain a bit. I'll explain a bit more when we come into customize. But just to quickly show what we do have for connectors, these are what we call our knowledge sources. So you can connect your Google Drive, you can connect your SharePoint, OneDrive. You can also give the agent a web URL and have it index the page and store all of the contents of that page as well, and connect that to your agent, as well as Google Spaces. So basically, when I connect this Google Drive, I'll be able to give a specific folder if I want. If I don't want to give it access to my entire Google Drive, I can just give it access to, say you have some TSL folder, and then all of the documents within that folder are able to be indexed. And then the agent can answer questions directly from your Google Drive or your SharePoint or any of these as well. So I can come over here to the workspaces. So when connecting a knowledge-based workspace, basically what we're doing here is uploading a document into this document section. So here you can see that this document is not AI ready, which means it's not indexed. If I do want to go ahead and index, then I can click this sync button, and then it will be stored in the vector database and it will be available to the agent. Now, if I want to change the document, I can upload the new document and then index that document as well. And if this old document is no longer relevant, then I would simply delete it, and then it will be removed from the vector database. Next thing we have here are some tools. Let me just make sure I'm not skipping over anything. No. So we have some tools. Here we have one tool, which is web search. This will enable the agent to be able to search the internet for live data. Yeah, simple as that. And then next we have our MCPs. So an MCP, we have a few different options on how to add MCPs on DataGOL. This will be our existing MCPs. So whatever MCPs we do connect, they will be saved. As of right now, you guys haven't connected any, so that's why none are showing here. The other option is we can connect a workbook as an MCP. So this is what the Iris agent is currently using, the reporting agent is using, as well as the grocery buddy agent. We have all of this structured workbook data, which we can just select and easily connect to the agent. So now the agent has access to these workbooks via MCP and can both read and write back to the agent, write SQL queries on the workbook. It can read and write to the workbook and take action on these workbooks. Not only that, but we can also add the entire workspace as an MCP. So say this Pepsi workspace, if I want to come back to this specific workspace here, if I click on the options, I have the option to copy this entire workspace of the MCP URL. And I can just simply copy the URL and add it to the agent. And that will give the agent access to all workbooks within this workspace automatically. So now that I have that MCP URL, all I have to do is come over here to custom server. So I paste the URL here, give it a name. And then all I have to do is add MCP server. And now that MCP will be available to, that workspace will be available to the agent. And it will be able to call the specific workbooks that it needs based on its own judgment. Also through custom servers, you can connect external MCPs. We do have certain integrations already built into the platform. So we have Gmail here, Drive, Calendar, Slack, SharePoint, Teams, Granola, all of these different things that we offer here out of the box. But if the platform that you're using is not currently on here, I mean, we can look into adding it, But if you simply have the MCP URL, you can just add it on your own and then select OAuth and connect as simple as that. Now moving on to sub-agent configuration. This allows us to give sub-agents to our agent for specific tasks. If we wanted to focus on doing one task in particular, or say we want to select a different model for a particular task, maybe that task is not too heavy, so we don't want to waste token consumption on something as light as this task. I can configure this sub agent just as I would the main agent. So give it a name, a description, its own prompt. And then here I can select a separate LLM model. So if my main agent is using Opus, but maybe for a lighter weight task, I want to use Haiku, then I can tell the agent to use this sub agent for that particular task, which will use this cheaper model. And then I can also give it its own knowledge base, tools, and MCPs as well. Okay. Now next we have skill files. I think most of you are familiar with skill files, but for those who are not, skill files are essentially a set of instructions that your agent will follow whenever a user asks a question that is relevant to that task. So for example, here, there is the BDI CDI calculation skill. So whenever a user asks the agent any question about generating or calculating BDI versus CDI, or either one of the two, then the agent will know to query this skill file. And these skill files can either be uploaded as .md files, or you can write them manually on the platform as well. Okay. We also have the interaction settings at the bottom. So this is where you can configure just what it's like interacting with the agent. So what model do I want to use? You can select your models here. You can select the default model. If the agent is using a indexed document, then you can have the agent also actually include images from that document in the agent response if you do toggle this on. We can also hide or show execution details. So if we have some business stakeholders who maybe we don't want to see the exact details, say they'll be too overwhelmed by seeing all of the tools that the agent is calling, we can simply disable this so that they won't have to worry about seeing that. They will only see a loading spinner and the agent will say that it's generating the response without overwhelming them too much. We can also allow for file download or file upload. So if you want to allow the user to download the document, which is connected via the knowledge base, then we can allow this or disallow it. And if we want to allow a user to upload a file in a chat, we can also choose to allow or disallow that. So if I have some PDF that I don't have currently indexed in my document section, but I just want to be able to drag and drop it into the chat and ask questions on demand on that document, then I can enable this file upload. We also have a voice assistant option on the agent as well. You will have to select the provider and give a key here in order to use this feature though. We have OpenAI, Google Speech Text, Azure, and Amazon Transcribe here. So if you have a key, then we do have this feature as well. And then finally, we have the input placeholder. So by default, the agent will just say, ask me anything, but if you want to customize this a bit, you can. Next thing I wanted to cover, this is an already created agent. So once you have created an agent, then you do have a few different options as well, which maybe we're not all familiar with on a call, because a lot of them have come out recently. So on the agent, you can test the agent within the side panel within the agent configuration panel directly. If I want to schedule this agent, I also can. So this is a new feature that has been released, where if I want this agent to say generate a report for me on a weekly basis or a daily basis, then I can enable this scheduled run. And once I do this, I can define my prompt. So if I say generate a brand report or all beverage brands. So if I want to generate a report for all beverage brands and I want this report to be generated weekly, then I can select weekly on Friday. I want this agent to run. I can see what the next 5 executions are. So obviously every week on Friday it will generate, and then I can save this configuration. So now every Friday at 4 a.m. Whenever I log into DataGOL, as long as it's after 4 a.m., I will see that thread already created with the agent's response and whatever PDF report it has generated for me for that week. Now we can go to memory and ontology. So we have three different layers of memory here. We have memory defined at the user level. So any preferences that the user has that only applies to their own conversations, they can define those. You can also define memories on an agent level. So specific to any particular agent, you can give that agent specific memories or rules that it should abide by. And then we also have company level, which is rules that all agents across the entire company, anybody who's logged in as the shopping lab user, the agents will respect these company level rules. So to configure those, we have this customize tab here. Here in customize, you can also see the skills as well as edit the skills. You can also see all of your MCP connectors that we have available here, as well as the knowledge sources that I was telling you about before, which will be indexed. And then finally, we have memory and ontology. So here, in order to configure a memory, you can see we have different options: user, agent, and company. Here we have two memories already defined for the company here. But if I want to add a new one, I can simply click add memory. I can give the instruction that I would like to add. So always remember whatever it is. And then I can define this on the user level. If I just select user, if I want to select an agent, then I can choose the agent that I would like to apply this to, or I can select if this should just be a company-wide rule. And then by default, it will be saved as just a fact of the company because it is a memory, but you can also change it to a preference or an instruction. And then once you're satisfied with your configuration, you can simply click remember and it will be added to the agent's memory, or to the platform's memory, really, depending on how you configure it. And then here we have ontology. So an ontology is basically creates the definition of how your business runs and what are the different entities of your business. So of course, for the shopping lab, if we wanted to add an entity, like what is a beverage brand? What does a beverage brand mean? What kind of metrics do beverage brands might be interested in comparison to dairy brands? What does a dairy brand look like? What is a dairy brand? What's most valuable to them? Who are the shopping lab's primary clients? I can define who my clients are. What are they doing? Clients add shopping list behaviors. Things like the intent you can define here. How does the shopping lab define user intent in comparison to user behavior, actual behavior in comparison to intent? All of these different entities and definitions can be defined on the ontology layer to be used by all agents across the platform. You can also define relationships here. So if any two entities relate to one another, then you can also define those here as well. And we can view these entities and relationships as a table or as a graph as well. Moving on, for model selection and agent controls, I know this is a conversation that we had a little bit a while ago, but if we come down here, we can manage our company credentials, our company credentials here. So it would be in the company page. Here I can manage the keys that I want to use. So scrolling down to the LLM model selections, whenever you guys want to upload or maybe rotate a key, you simply come to this page and you can edit the key here, add OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini, all of these that we support. We support OpenRouter for open source models, which are less costly, as well as Together AI and Vertex. But I think OpenRouter might be the easiest API key to get. The other ones might be a little bit of a hassle. But once you have added those keys, then you can also come over to the models page and see all of the models that we currently support. So we have all of the OpenAI models, the Anthropic models, Gemini. These Gemini models, actually, I'm not sure if Alex is on call, but these Gemini models currently don't support the Gemini key. They are supported via OpenRouter. And that's just because of Gemini has some new response types that our services aren't currently using. So Gemini models are able to be used, but they would have to be used through an OpenRouter key. Okay. Covered deep research and sub-agents, sharing, branding, and access control. So on these agents, we have the share option. So I can share this individually with any team members that I want to simply add to the agent. But if I want everyone in the company to be able to access the agent, I can just simply update the access to the shoppinglab.com. If I want to make it publicly available, so if I want to share this to clients who are not signed up with DataGOL, but I still want them to be able to ask questions on the agent, I can change this to anyone with the link. And then I can simply copy the link to this agent and share it, and they'll be able to access without ever having to log into DataGOL at all. And it will have access to all of the same tools and all of the same functionalities that it currently has. We have the analytics page. So we can view this analytics both on the individual agent itself by just simply switching this tab from configure to analytics. And here I'll be able to look at the particular agent analytics for this specific agent that I'm looking at. So I can see total cost, average cost, spend over time, request over time, any failure rates. If I'm testing different models, I can see which models are costing me more or less. And then I can have a breakdown of per user who is spending the most or making the most requests or whatever it might be. I can also filter this on particular users. So if I only want to look at a particular user and how much they're spending, then I can do that as well. I can also filter on date ranges. So if I want to look at the entire last quarter, I can do that as well to see how much I'm spending, monthly or weekly or whatever it might be. To get a more detailed log on this too, we have this detailed logs option. If I click into here, then I can see the individual requests. So these aren't necessarily questions that that someone is asking the agent, but for a question that a user asks, the agent will make multiple requests in order to answer that question. And so here we can see per request, how much does this request cost? And then if I expand this view here, I get some more information. How many tokens was that request? How long did that request was? What was the provider? So this is just a little bit more of a detailed view on the agent logs. And then I can filter this here as well. So again, I can filter on date range or provider if I only want to look at Anthropic, and then kind of agent I'm using. So if I'm looking at a custom agent, I can only look at the logs of Iris or only look at the logs of Grocery Buddy. And then again, I can filter on a user basis as well. But then if I just come over here to the main analytics page, then here I can see analytics across all AI on the platform on my company account. So I can see that GPT-4o and 4o Mini are being used currently on this account, probably for those AI generated columns use case that you guys are doing. And then Cloud Sonnet is being used for the custom agents. And then I can see models over time, requests over time as line charts and bar charts and all of these things, and then analyze usage in that way. I can also look at provider metrics as well as the logs on this page as well. That's pretty much it. I think we've covered everything on the custom agent side.